of negative categories, right? What
Right.
is the most disappointing hip hop album of 2021?
I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at things, Mike.
Uh huh.
I think you felt like it was the Migos, but I think you're talking more about their status and their stardom than their actual quality of music at this point. Because what I would submit to you is that they've really only made one dope album, and that's Culture One.
Nah. This is kind of how I look at it because again,
You're gonna make me
I
use
think
your
that
words.
the first Young Rich Niggas is honestly a classic. It is what it
Okay,
is.
it's not a classic, but if you want to
It
say that,
is for what it is, for its era and its impact and everything that it, you know what I'm saying, encompasses. It's a real heavy record. You want to know what all is on there? It's a lot
no,
on there.
no, Mike,
It's a lot on there. No
Mike,
labels too. That's
Mike. I
Migos
don't,
in
and the
full
people
form.
don't. Mike, when did that album come out?
That was what 2013 ish.
Right. When did Culture come out, Mike?
Culture came out, and that was what 2016.
15 or 16, right? Mike, they ain't made no dope shit in about 5 years. And so it's hard for me to say that somebody
I
has
wouldn't
made
say
dope.
that.
Mike, they haven't been consistently dope in about 5 years. And if you want, it's hard for me to say somebody that hasn't made really consistently dope stuff in the last 4 or 5 years to say that they're a disappointment. No, they're not disappointing. They're doing what they kind of been doing the last 4 or 5 years. But I felt like a few people had some opportunities and failed. And so I kind of want to highlight those people and I want to see what the people think. I
Okay.
think
And then I'm gonna speak my Migos stuff too. But yeah, I'll tell you
nobody
why.
wants to hear you stand about the Migos who haven't made anything good since Culture One outside of about 3 or 4 songs. But okay.
I'm going to back that in a second.
And
But go
fine.
ahead. No, no. Most people are saying Drake's album's the most disappointing.
Mike,
Ooh, look, K
no,
Thompson pulled one that I'm feeling too. He said R.I.P. to DMX, but him as well.
Mike, okay, so Mike, we're going to a few things. K. Thompson actually just brought up my key point, so I'm going to start right there.
I'm not mad at that.
Mike, I'm going to start with Exodus, and I'm not going to start with DMX. I'm going to start with Swiss. I got a problem with Exodus, and not about X, about Swiss. This ain't the
TD
production.
says Swiss messed Exodus up.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly my thoughts. Swiss Max Exodus up because, Mike, that album has the bones of a pretty dope project. It has the bones of a dope project. And you and I said this live earlier this year, Mike. Go ahead and tell the people who missing from Exodus, Mike.
I mean, Dame
Production.
Grease, right?
Yep, Dame Grease, Mike. That's the problem with this album. This album don't have no Dame Grease.
Listen, man.
No, Mike. We ain't
Swiss
done.
has
We got
never produced a full DMX out. Swiss has never produced a hip hop classic. Let's just keep it a buck.
Mike. We had a whole show where we discussed the fact that he had never produced a hip hop classic, and this was more proof of that. So Exodus was a disappointment to me, but not about X, about Swiss. Now X vocally obviously wasn't where he used to be. Obviously older, but Mike, there's some stuff in there that like could have been resurrected. Like, how about this, Mike? Imagine bath salts over a Dame Grease beat instead of the Swiss beat. Right.
Yeah,
Mike,
man.
because to be honest with you, that Nas verse on there was crazy.
I remember.
X verse on there is crazy. It was the beat. And so even on the highlights, you can hear where it's just not there. So I want to hear PK and Dame Grease on there. Mike, whoever said Certified Lover Boy with Drake, that was actually the first thing that I wrote down. It's a major disappointment, but I kind of feel like him the way I feel about the Migos. I don't know how disappointed I can be about somebody that really ain't gave me nothing dope the last 4 or 5 years. Y'all talking about reputation guys. Y'all talking about guys that was hot about 4 or 5 years ago making dope shit. And that was the last time they made it. So here's where I'm going, Mike. Meek Mill, Expensive Pain to me is the disappointment of the year. Because I
It's
feel like
D1. That's your nomination.
that's my personal nomination, either Meek Mill or Vince Staples, because here's why. Neither one of those projects is bad, but neither one of those projects is what they should be. And both of those gentlemen were presented with different opportunities. Vince was presented to opportunity to really vault himself into the upper echelon and let people know really who he is. And all he did really was more of the same. And he did it well, but he didn't offer us anything new. It was just a solid project. But in the case of Meek, Mike, I mean, this was an opportunity for him to be a game changer. Like people know his name outside of rap now. He's moving in different circles. He's doing different things. This is a project that could have vaulted him into a status where he looks at somebody like a Rick Ross and a Jay-Z and he starts standing next to him and not behind them. You
I
get what I'm
think
saying? I think he missed that opportunity to do that with this album.
I want to piggyback on that because I feel like Meek Mill has a very special story, right? And especially in the climate that we're in, when we talk about just the dealings with Black Americans and police in America, and just the history of that and the cultural impacts of that and his personal relationship. It's very dare I say, Tupac-ish to a certain degree, right? Your camera switched, I think.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's very Tupac-ish in that sense. And the fact that it has never really translated over into the music is disappointing. It almost feels like it's more of a marketing ploy, right? And it seems like one of those things that could actually do well for the music, but it's marketing and the music just doesn't translate. Yeah, you're back on. And so that is very disappointing when it comes to Meek. But you know what? My thing with Meek is probably like how you feel about Migos and whatnot. I just think Meek never really had it like that. I just never was really that impressed with him to that degree. As a song maker and as an artist, and as much as they pump him up to be, he's not
I
Rick
agree,
Ross.
Mike.
He's never really held down songs on his own to that degree. Like his biggest songs, you got Rick Ross on them. He got that intro.
Mike,
That's
Mike,
his joint.
no, Mike, I agree. So here's what I'll tell you. Here's what I mean when I'm telling you he missed an opportunity. I don't consider him to be that type of artist either. I don't consider Meek to be a top-notch lyricist or MC. I consider him to be above average. Matter of fact, Mike, how about this? I like Dave East. I think Dave East is a better songmaker than me. How about that?
I think so too.
Okay,
Yeah.
but here's what I'm saying. If Dave East had some of Meek's personality and connections and publicity, shit would be a wrap for him. You know what I'm saying? He'd be in a whole nother stratosphere. Meek has all those things. And so here's what I'm saying when he missed an opportunity. Know who you are at this stage in the game and know what your platform is and what you can do. This was an opportunity. How about this, Mike? He's the one that should have made the album that Russ made. The Chomp 2 album with all the collaborations and the features. Like, Meek had an opportunity to bring people into the world that he's been living in the last couple of years with the things that he's been doing. He has the notoriety to do it. This album should have been more collaborative about where he is in his life and also about what his strengths and weaknesses are behind the mic. Like, he missed opportunity on a few levels, Mike.
Well, it's interesting you said collaborative because I always felt like Championships was extremely collaborative, and I feel like when you put together an all-star cast like that of everybody that's popping at the time, all the producers that are popping at the time, he used a whole bunch of notable samples. It damn near was a DJ Khaled album. You know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is that his world is a little different now. Bring people into that world on a collaborative effort. You know, Mike, Volume 2 style.
Volume 2 style.
Volume 2 style, Mike. He was supposed to Volume 2 this album.
No, but see, no. The Championships album was his Volume 2. See, what you're supposed to do after doing something Volume 2 style, then you got to jump out and do shit on your own. Even though a friend of mine was pointing out, because Volume 3 just celebrated its anniversary a couple of days ago, about a week ago. Mm-hmm. He was pointing out how many features that album had on it. But we're not going to get into the Jigga conversation again.
Can I tell you a quick story?
Ooh, hold on. Ross Mando says Common was disappointing. We'll get on that in a second. Tell me the story.
Hold on. First of all, I didn't even count that album anywhere this year. It didn't even register. That's neither here nor there.
Shit.
Mike, I was actually working at a record store part-time. Like, I was in college, but I was coming back to the record store that I worked at in Charlotte. Mm-hmm. And my boss got an advance of Volume 3 about, I want to say, 10 days before the scheduled release date. This is before the unstabbing, too. Mike, on the album, it has Is That Your Bitch in Anything Like I had a copy of the CD.
Mm-hmm.
Had Is That Your Bitch and Anything on it, and I went and listened to that album. Not the album that came out, but the album that had Is That Your Bitch and Anything on it. The original version of Is That Your Bitch. There's no bleep.
No Meek on there. Yeah, yeah.
There's no bleep on there. It's just 3J verses.
I said Meek. I meant Bleak. Yeah.
Yeah. That album to me was better than Volume 2 when I heard it. But I remember hearing it, and then I remember the album that came out, and I was like,
was Hey Poppy on there too?
No.
Okay.
That was bootleg shit.
Okay.
But here's the thing about it, Mike. Anything and Is That Your Bitch were the best two songs that I heard. So when it wasn't on there, I was like, well, they took the best two songs off of there. Like that's.
TD says Khaled was terrible, but he hyped it like he was delivering a masterpiece. That's what Khaled does.
He's a DJ.
Actually, I don't know what Khaled does, but
he's a DJ promoter from Miami. What do you expect him to do?
Yeah, Khaled's out here trying to sell you guys Pandora like that shit just came out.
Right. Like this is sweet. Like, what do y'all think this is?
Like, yo, man, I remember having a Pandora account back in 2005, man. Like, Khaled's out here doing Pandora commercials like it's brand new. Speaking of Khaled, I want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
There was a picture that Fat Joe posted where, you know, people were saying that, you know, his beard was like marked in or something or whatever. But he posted on his own account. We posted it on According to Hip Hop, just like, you know, didn't say anything leading in the caption or anything. Just like Fat Joe. I get a notification last night from Instagram saying that this was in violation of bullying, cyberbullying, taunting. And I'm like, what? That ain't gangster, man. I was like, yo, that's crazy.
Mike, I mean, I'm not being funny, and I'm just going to tell all the people this. Them dudes be watching our shit. Mike, after we do a show, major rap artists and producers and other commentators in this business be taking our shit and running with it. And it's like, I'm feeling like Ghost on the Purple Tape borderline. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like love, but it'd be kind of like shady because I'd be waking up the next day and I'd be like, yo, that's what me and Mike said last night. But now like somebody with 10 million followers is saying it. And it's like, you know what I'm saying?
That's cool and all, man.
Don't
get us no
cool.
violations.
No, Mike. See, that's between me and you. It's not cool.
I'm just used to people biting. You know what I mean? Like
I'm used to
I've been dealing with it for a long time.
I'm used to people biting. I'm also used to approaching motherfuckers about it too.
Nah, I feel you on that too, man. But nah, the thing was like, look, first of all, no one was trying to taunt anybody. And we can't control what people say in the comment section about whatever post.
Even when I see something like that, that's crazy, Mike. Like, I come on here because I love Joe, and I talk about Joe in glowing terms almost like all the time, endearing. You know what I mean? I love Fat Joe.
I just don't feel like, I'll put it this way. And, you know, I've never met Fat Joe or whatever, man, and I got love for Joe and everything he's done in the game. But it's hard for me to believe the Instagram just did that. You know what I'm saying? It's like a regular picture. Like, I don't see where it sounds like something was called on the page or something. I don't know.
Well, Mike, I mean, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. You know, first of all, you know this probably better than anybody. My intent was to say as far in the back as possible. So this whole podcast thing happening was a little bit unexpected. But part of why I was leery of it, because when we step out here and speak, you know, we're not responsible for people's money. But it's that funny line where it's like, this is how dudes eat and make their living. And so I'm mindful of how I critique. Like, even when we did our yearbook, Mike, like everybody that we rated, whether we rated you like with a 5 or rated you with a 3, I said something good about your project. This is how people are feeding their families.
Of course.
So it's a funny line. Now, somebody like Joe's obviously not in the prime of his career. A lot of how he makes his money now has to do with his image, his personality. Yeah. He has to be mindful of that. So when you're getting that flag, That's Joe being concerned about his image and his branding because that's how he makes his money now more
Or
than rap.
Joe's staff, you know what I mean? Because
I mean,
again,
when I'm
yeah,
saying Joe, I'm really saying
the
Joe Staff.
team.
I seriously doubt that Fat Joe jumped on Instagram, hopped on according to hip hop, and was like, fuck them niggas. But somebody around him was trying to protect his brand,
Right,
and I
right.
understand and respect it. And I try to be mindful of it, but also, too, that's why I'm bringing up. But on the other side, I'm hearing niggas stealing our shit, too. And so it'd be like the other side of it. It's like, well, I'm trying to be respectful and mindful because I'm understanding that's how you eat. But Mike and I are trying to eat too. So I'd appreciate it if somebody with 10 million followers and on the low is watching us would stop like popping up the next day and stealing our shit. Because I am the type of dude that's gonna approach you, and it don't even have to be like no like drama filled situation. Like I'm the type of dude that it's like I'm gonna talk to a man about any situation or issue that I have. So it's like when
Just show
dudes are
love, man.
right, just show love. Like you know what I'm saying?
No, no, definitely. You know, it's funny. We talking about biting or whatever. I got the Ready to Die vinyl for Christmas or whatnot, and it was funny.
Who shot you in dreams on it? The one with who shot you in dreams on it?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's on there.
My cousin has my copy sitting in Charlotte.
And it was funny, man, because I was looking at the album cover, and you know, we were just talking about the incredible year that Nas has had. It's interesting the fact that
They changed it.
no, 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 it's the same, and it's a brilliant album cover. But the fact that they copied Nas's baby picture, and for years we thought that was actually Biggie on the cover. It's not, you know, that's what kind of makes that even worse. Like I could see if you went out there and let's just say you came out with an album in April, you had your baby picture on there. I come out with an album in June, and I just have a baby on there. That's not even me. Come on.
See, okay, so check it out. Mike, it's not just the cover. The intro to Ready to Die is a bite off Illmatic. You see, because they saw the cover and then you listen to the album, Nas is telling you he's pretty much explaining his experiences in the projects from the ages of 7 to 19. What does the intro of Ready to Die do for Biggie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a straight bite from Illmatic. So the cover and the intro are Illmatic bite.
I think as an executive producer, Puffy was trying to tap
Oh, it's definitely
into.
Puff, Mike. It's definitely Puff.
He was trying to tap into a combination of West Coast Dre and Snoop being able to make songs and putting together projects in that kind of like theatrical, cohesive type of way, and the East Coast foundation using what Nas just did.
Mike, I mean, Biggie, Unbelievable exists on Ready to Die because of Primo's work on Illmatic. Like Biggie wasn't going to get Primo. Easy Mo, you know, Easy Mo and Chucky Thompson had that whole album. Easy Mo B and Chucky Thompson produced every track on that album. You know what the late edition was? Unbelievable. You want to know what that was about? That shit that Primo did on Illmatic.
No, no, that was a direct reflection, direct reaction. Excuse me,
Mike. And it's the first reaction because here's what Unbelievable did, and people forget this. Illmatic and Ready to Die came out the same year.
Yeah.
You weren't hearing, like months apart, you weren't hearing New York State of Mind, Memory Lane, and Represent on the late night hip hop mix. But Unbelievable was getting played on the late night hip hop mix. That was the thing that changed shit for Primo.
Well, that was their Fat Tapes record, you know what I'm saying? And they needed that back then. Like,
right.